Hello!
Hi, how are you?
Welcome to a new video of the Argentine Rugby Breakdown. I'm Flore,
I'm Pato.
and today we're going to review the first round of the Super Rugby Americas, SRA, right?
Yes, we're gonna do that.
So, what we're going to talk about first, we're going to mention the games that have been played. Dogos played from one of the teams from Argentina, played Yacarés, which is the team from Paraguay. Selknam, Chile's team, played against
Raptors.
the Raptors. That's the American team. And finally, Pampas, the other Argentinian team, played against Cobras, which is the Brazilian team. Peñarol, which is the team from Uruguay, didn't play this time. It will play next weekend, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, what are your first thoughts about this first round in general?
Well, in general, always first rounds are kind of a little bit chaotic. The teams have very few weeks of work, and it's the first. For most of them, it's the first week they play. So games usually are sloppy, lots of mistakes, lots of plays that are missed by a little bit, but just missing a pass or not being precise with the pass or with the movement, and tons of that kind of little mistakes. And so I think this this first round was that way.
It's like a try and see what happens. Also, we have the rebranding of the tournament, as we said on the last video we made. We have the link somewhere around so you can see it. So it's the first time that these players as a team play together. So yeah, we saw a lot of mistakes, a lot of different things, but we saw a lot of potential and a lot of
good intent.
Yeah, so we're kind of excited, and we're going to kind of talk about the different teams of each game, and we're going to talk about the results and favorite players and things we saw in each one of the three games. So we will start with the first. So the first match that has been played of this tournament was Dogos, Argentinian team, versus Yacarés, the Paraguayan team. The Dogos won 32-24. It was a really close.
It was a really close game.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are going to talk about Dogos first, and then we are going to talk about Yacarés. What we saw, we kind of had expectations for Dogos because they're Argentinian team, and they have players that we've seen in Yacarés 15 and some other teams of the rest of the latter squads, and they didn't let us down. I think they played well. As we said before, it was the first game of a tournament. So they had some mistakes, they have some things that they should do and they didn't do, but in the overall it matched our expectations of the team. They have this flow, they trying to open the game and move fast and kind of bring an energy,
a tempo, kind of a upbeat tempo to the game.
So I think they did really good.
Yes, I think that they did. It's a new team, lots of players that played before in our squads, in our teams of SLAR or in Yacarés 15, but they come together as a whole now, as a team, as a unit. I think their intent was good of this upbeat tempo. That's something that Argentinian teams are trying to do. So we were not disappointed. I think that it was what we expected, and I think there's a lot of room for growing for this Dogos team.
So what do you think about Dogos? About Yacarés.
About Yacarés, I was surprised. I shouldn't have been, but I was surprised. Just remember that the last two seasons, the Paraguayan team reached semifinals, was the fourth team of the tournament, and this is kind of a continuation of that team. Tons of Argentine players as well, but I think they really had a good game against the Argentinians. they stood the ground and
and thinking different plays and different movements. Like it wasn't chance that led them to have 24 points. They have some plays, and we really like the scrum half in Chauspe.
Yes.
He was our favorite player of that match. And I also think that at some point you were surprised because, as we said in other video, the Paraguayan squad was the one that had many changes because they rebranded, they changed the name, they changed the stuff, they changed a lot of things, but they kept the core of what they've been building from the 3 seasons of SLAR. So yeah, I think it was my favorite match of the round.
I think it was the most, I don't know if it was the most even match of the round, but I think that were the 2 teams that had kind of the most even level.
Yeah.
And it was a good pitch. It was a good match. It was
even
good
level,
intent,
but in a good way.
In a good way, exactly.
Because we have even level in a not good way in another match.
But there's it was a really interesting game, nice game to watch.
So the second game of the round was Selknam, the Chilean team, against the Raptors, the American team. The match finished 45-10 for Selknam. It was a very obvious result. Selknam was one of the more experienced teams. He was a semi-finalist in the last season.
It was a semi-finalist in 2021.
He was second.
And second on the 2022.
So I think Raptors is the new kid in town. So yeah, it was hurt. We're going to talk about Selknam first.
It was kind of one-sided game.
Yeah, Selknam played really well, not giving for granted the team he was playing against. They showed a really good game and kind of keep on growing since the last game we saw them. They're very consistent. I think it was the best team of the round. Our favorite team of the round, the one we thought played the best. It's a very solid squad. They're all Chileans now.
Yes, they're all Chileans,
which is great. And I think it's one of the promises for this tournament. I think it's one of the 2 that could win it, or 3 or 4 could win it. So we're going to see what happens when they play against a more competitive squad, to see if they can keep on with this level or if they kind of struggle a little bit. In the other hand, we have Raptors.
Yes, but what happened with Selknam was what we expected about them. It's a squad, it's a team that qualified for Rugby World Cup. They are Rugby World Cup players at this point.
Yeah.
And it's the same squad. They are adding young talent, so they're going to be leading them in the field. And the only thing about this year is that they're going to be resting the players, just as Peñarol is going to say, because they said it already, that they're going to be resting players all around the tournament. So for us, they were the 2, Peñarol, which we haven't seen so far, they hasn't played, and Selknam are the 2 finalists, are the 2 teams that are the core of their national team, and they have been playing together the longest with tons of experience. So we expected them to be the most consolidated teams. Selknam showed it against a team that is still struggling to come together, and so our expectations were met, and we expected that, and we think they're going to be one of the best teams of the tournament. But we're going to see, with all this kind of resting players and managing all the health and rest for the World Cup, which is their main objective, how they're going to be doing all along the tournament.
Good. We also, Pato also saw that some Raptor players that have been playing another sports that are not rugby, kind of, he saw, like, I'm talking for you, but you saw them kind of lost in the field at some points, like not knowing what to do, where to go. For us, Raptors are kind of a question mark. Is that sometimes the teams that they don't play that well are kind of a wild card? You don't know if they're going to score 20 points or they're going to score nil. So we'll see what happens on the rest of the season. It will be... I'm curious to see what happens with teams like Yacarés, for example, or Dogos or Pampas are also new and kind of adapting to play with each other. So we'll see what happens next.
I think the Raptors showed that they are a new team, that they are just assembling together. They had intent at some point, but they didn't have the resources to do what they wanted to do. They were confused at some points of the game. I saw the Argentine players kind of telling all the other players what to do, where to put themselves, kind of landajos, telling the other players, no, move back, you have to be there, you have to pay attention to that. It's like they are coaches inside the squad telling them, the players, things that they should already know because of playing the game. So that's why I realized that a lot of players are coming from our sports and they just need to adapt to the new sport. So I think it's going to take them some time to first the players to adjust. First the players, it's kind of a double work they have to do. First the players, they have to adapt to the new sport. They have to get used to it. The rules they have to move and be aware of certain things, and then they have to find a cohesion as a unit, as a team. So it's a twofold problem they have of work to do. So we'll see. So far, I think they win the weakest team in the first round, and I think they're going to be the weakest team in the tournament.
The last game of the round was Cobras, the Brazilian team, against Pampas. They are the second Argentinian team. Pampas won 41-21. The field was in horrible conditions, like it rained or something, but it was very muddy and everything was very slippery, so it was a very sloppy game. What we can say from Cobras is it was they had a lot of disciplinary issues. They were kind of accelerated. They were very with like over energy. You have normal energy. They were like here you can see my hand, so that makes you miss some tackles or make mistakes or miss some passes or make a lot of mistakes. They had a lot of cards. They spent most of the game with only 13.
They had 2 red cards.
Yeah, but between the 2 red cards on a lot of yellow ones, if you put like in from like if you the average player in the 80 minutes was 13. Saying that you play with 13, you have only 13 players in the field, they kind of managed to keep Pampas at bay. They have a very solid maul. Very I was very surprised about it.
They were very good at mauling.
Yeah.
They scored twice in that way, so it was really good. But it was when they cut a break, when the Pampas made a mistake and they were able to go to the line in the 22s. There they had their best opportunities with the maul. They scored twice. One was a penalty try, the first one. So that was their strength. But line out was not very efficient from them, except those opportunities. They had their chances in mauling in 22, but they were not able to score. But the moments that it clicked, the line and the maul, they scored twice, and they were really good at keeping, despite being with 13 most of the game and 12 at some point of the game, keeping Pampas at bay.
Yeah, Pampas on the other side, we were very disappointed.
Yeah.
Because they have all of these opportunities, like they're more experienced players, they are playing 15 against 13 at some point. Cobras are making a lot of mistakes, and yeah, it's a 20-point difference, but in the game you didn't see as much. Like, it could be less, because in the last minutes of the game, Cobras was this close to score a try.
And to getting 4 tries and losing bonus point.
Yeah.
The thing with Pampas is that Pampas is mainly made up from young players from the Buenos Aires Rugby Union tournament, which is the most important amateur tournament in South America, maybe in the whole Americas. And most of the most important players of Argentinian history has come out of this tournament, of these clubs. And they are really good and talented players. So suddenly watching them play, making the mistakes they made, making the silly kind of not only mistakes, but how do you call it, disciplinary mistakes, or having issues with discipline, because they also got a couple of yellow cards, and so it was disappointing.
Yeah.
We understand that it's the first game of the season.
Yeah, and the field wasn't the best field to play in, when it rains and it gets sloppy, having the ball is really difficult, tackling in the right way, it's very difficult because it's a chaos, but they could do so much more, like they have so much potential.
Exactly. The thing is, they had intent, both teams had intent, both teams tried to play the ball, try to make an open game and a fast game. The pitch didn't help, as we said before. Brazil had all these inconveniences, and Pampas tried to make this quick, fast ball, fast game, which the Argentine teams are trying to do. They missed, once again, new team, new very few weeks of training, of practicing. They missed a lot of passes, losing the ball, the knock-ons and stuff like that. But the thing is that they ended the first half with the 4 tries, the bonus point, and they were not able to keep that pressure and scoring and take advantage of the 13 players that Brazil had.
Yeah, the first time
that's a
was
disappointment
okay.
also.
Yeah, I think that the second half was chaos, absolutely chaos. From both sides, and not knowing what to do. Yeah, it's like too much energy going on, and not thinking straight.
Not well directed, the energy.
Yeah, completely. I agree.
I think that's something that these players, because they're young, they're going to have to, not only this players, but all the other teams that have young players, it's basically to Argentinians, is to know how to manage the games, because the Pampas started winning the game 14-0, out of 10 minutes it was 14-0, and they were not able to keep the control of the game and allowed Brazilian Cobras to come back and score and draw the game 14-0. And that's that's an image of not being as experienced as grown-ups in the field, and that's something that they're gonna learn how to do it. But that's something that also shows you that, but they need a lot of work to do. You're starting 14-0 and you are controlling the whole game, and then you let the team like this come back, and then not being able to, ending the first half with the 4 bonus tries in, and then not being able to score a lot in the second half and take advantage of 13 players. That's something they have to solve and correct.
Yeah. Okay. So what about the different referees? What do you think about?
I think that one of the main problems that the league has, it's refereeing. I think as this is a developing tournament,
It's developing
referees as well. But I think the problem is that the developing of referees at this level is that most of these players are going to be playing at a higher level with their national teams, and they are allowed to make mistakes in this level by the referees that they would not be allowed in the next level, let's say in the national team. Something
you can have, like a penalty playing against I don't know, in Europe, or playing in a national level, here it's like this, or something should be a yellow card or a red card. Here it's not.
If for instance, if these players are getting away with certain kind of mistakes or faults they make, or that they will be punished in the World Cup for Chile and Uruguay. So that's a thing that the tournament needs to look into. Of course, we are developing players as well and referees, but I think that a big part is referees not being as precise, as going to the point and sanctioning the how do you say, it's not the faults, but the mistakes that the players make, or the discipline in the games, which is going to cost these players when they play at a higher level, especially in the national teams.
Well, saying that, it's the end of our review of the first round of the Super Rugby Americas.
Yes, Super Rugby Americas.
So we'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.
Bye.